Okay, please sit down. Thank you. I'm over here.
Thank you so much for being here today. It's an honor to have you come to Straight Street. We appreciate the governor and the first lady taking time to travel to, I think, the best city in Virginia, Roanoke, of course. That's right. Thank you. And the fact that they would choose to come to Straight Street. We're very thankful God started Straight Street in 1994 as a place to provide an opportunity for kids to get off the street and to learn more about how much that they're loved and appreciated, and they have a purpose no matter what their background. Don't look towards the past, which is difficult not to do, but let's look towards the future with Christ guiding the way. And if you look up the verse, Proverbs 3, 5, and 6, that's our verse. He will make your path straight. So we don't just do that to have a creative name so we can have a neat logo. That's our purpose, and that is our verse. So right now, I want to introduce somebody that's made a huge difference in my life. People often say, would you give us just a testimony of the life impacted the most? And it's always mine, because I get the chance to work with hundreds of amazing teenagers over the past 29 years, and each and every one of them make an imprint in my life. So my life has been impacted the most of anybody. And one of those people right now I want to introduce is Emily, so she can tell her story. Emily, make her feel welcome.
Hi, I'm Emily. So I started going to Straight Street when I was about 12 years old. I think it was 97, 98, so close to the beginning. It instantly became the weekend hangout for my friends and I. I remember I had one friend, he wrote a song about Straight Street, and he told Keith about it, so Keith let him play it for everyone. I don't remember the whole thing, but the chorus was, I'm going to Straight Street to have a good time. I'm going to Straight Street, and it won't cost me a dime. And that's what brought us here, right? It was fun and it was free, but I slowly began to see that the people here truly cared about us. Sorry. They truly cared about us, and they cared about me. Some Saturday nights we would get dropped off at the YMCA, and as a teenager I felt like this elite person in some elite group because we were there when it was closed. It was only open for us. We had access to the gyms to play games, and all the volunteers, they weren't there telling us, go this way, do that. They were there playing with us. Excuse me, I am not a public speaker. I'm very nervous. Keith, he ended up recruiting several of us to be Straight Street volunteers. It was great. They made us our own shirts, and we would come in and we were wearing them, and that's when Straight Street turned from just a cool place to hang out to something that I was a part of as a teenager. At 16, I decided to try my hand at shoplifting. Thankfully, I failed and got caught the first time. Didn't straighten me out totally, but it was Straight Street, and they directed me to Hands for Christ, where I did my community service, surrounding me once again with people who cared about me. I still remember the lady who was there telling us when we would come in, she would explain to us, like, what you're doing matters. You are making a difference to people around this world with what you're here doing. So after COVID, I wanted a safe place for my oldest daughter to go where she could get connected with people. First thing I did was I started watching for Straight Street and when it would reopen. The first night I dropped my 12-year-old daughter off, I was not worried. I was not concerned. I knew she would make connections and be cared for because in all my time at Straight Street, I never sat alone in a corner. I never saw any other kids sit alone in a corner. Straight Street is a place where kids come, teenagers come, and they're not overlooked. They don't go unseen. Sorry, this is also emotional. So Straight Street is now the normal Saturday hangout for my 3 children. I love to look out in my yard. Sometimes it's just my kids waiting for the bus. Sometimes there are 1, 2, 3, 4, even 5 other kids playing football in my front yard, waiting for that Straight Street bus to come and take them. Both of my daughters are involved in a girls group that Straight Street has, but they also play sports. So every week, I get a text being like, hey, can so-and-so come? And it just warms my heart as a mother to know that my daughters have a place to go where they are wanted and they are missed if they're not there. My oldest daughter wanted to get a job over the summer. And it's not easy finding a job when you're a young teenager. She told somebody at Straight Street that she wanted a job, and they directed her to a summer program for teens, a job program. She ended up working at the YMCA. They trained her during her time to be a lifeguard, made her an assistant lifeguard in October. She was hired as a lifeguard at the YMCA. Lifeguarding was never on the table. It wasn't something she was interested in. It wasn't something she had ever talked about until somebody at Straight Street saw that she wanted to do something good and pointed her in an even better direction. My son got the chance, he's the youngest, he's 12, to come to Straight Street by himself for the first time without his big sisters a couple months ago. And he came home and I was like, "How was it, buddy?" And he was like, told me this whole list of things he did without his older sisters around. So even on his own, he, just like them, found a place that cared for him. When I started going to Straight Street, it was down the street, and our whole building was, it was probably, the size of this room. It's not there anymore. I remember the first time I walked by there and realized that building had been gone down. My heart broke just a little bit because I was like, where's Straight Street? And then I found it here. I'm amazed and overjoyed at not only what Straight Street has become, but also in seeing the dedication of the man who ministered and cared for me, now minister and care for my children. So thank you, Keith.
Everybody that prays and supports, volunteers, and serves, you make stories like that possible. You are Straight Street, so thank you for doing that. It is my honor right now to introduce the Executive Director of the Bradley Free Clinic, Janine Underwood.
Thank you, and thank you so much for the Governor and First Lady. Great to have you here in Roanoke. On behalf of the Bradley Free Clinic and the Hope Initiative, we are so grateful for the salary donation from the Governor and Mrs. Youngkin, designated to the work that we do at the Hope Initiative. The Hope Initiative is a program within Bradley Free Clinic's Behavioral Health Department, providing peer recovery support services designed to assist an individual experiencing substance use, mental health, and/or trauma. Our certified peer recovery specialists, who are amazing individuals, help these individuals and families to find resources for treatment and recovery programs. They support them through the application and admission process, often navigating many barriers and following them for a year or more. Bradley Free Clinic also offers medical, dental, mental health, pharmacy, and other services which helps these individuals on the path to recovery to thrive. The concept of the Hope Initiative was first created in 2016 by the Roanoke Police Department. What visionaries they were that we could not arrest our way out of this epidemic. The Hope Initiative addresses, I personally became a part of the Hope Initiative project from the beginning. I was a mother who had lost her son to a fentanyl overdose, which was devastating. And yet I found within Roanoke so many people gathering together to figure out a way to solve this problem. The Hope Initiative is a collaborative effort between law enforcement, fire and EMS, the healthcare systems, treatment and recovery agencies, and safety net organizations. Together, we can do what we could never do alone. The Bradley Free Clinic became the perfect home for the Hope Initiative as a healthcare safety net that provides a non-judgmental environment where individuals struggling with substance use can access information, resources, support, and hope that allows them to begin constructing that foundation of their recovery journey. The HOPE initiative has helped over 2,300 participants with an 83% success rate of that individual going into a treatment and recovery program. That's amazing. They also work hard to educate the community by providing Revive trainings and have dispensed over 4,000 boxes of naloxone. This donation will allow us to expand our community outreach. Our peer recovery specialists work alongside community organizations like the health department, law enforcement, fire and EMS, Block by Block, the Harm Reduction Coalition, and the Drop-In Center. During outreach, we often find these individuals in need of wound care and hygiene items that we will now be able to provide. In addition, your kind and generous donation will go towards removing financial barriers to accessing treatment and recovery programs such as transportation, housing, clothing, and job trainings. Thank you both for this kind and generous gift and your commitment to addressing the opioid and addiction crisis, and more urgently, the fentanyl and xylazine plaguing our communities. Thank you. At this time, I would like to share with you a very special peer recovery specialist, Cynthia Haley. Cynthia is with the HOPE Initiative and more of a program that recently was started, the Responders for Recovery program. Cynthia is going to tell you her story.
All right. Thank you, Governor. Thank you, First Lady, for being here. Thank you all for being here. My name is Cynthia Haley, and less than 5 years ago, I was sitting in a cold jail cell, alone and hopeless. Now, I'm honored to stand before the Governor and First Lady of Virginia and all of you welcomed guests. For me, personally, this is an incredible pinch-me moment, but more importantly, it's a testament to the power and the scope of the HOPE Initiative. So my story begins in Danville, Virginia. I was just a regular small-town girl with hopes and dreams for my future. For many years, my life was going as planned. I graduated from college and immediately found a job in my field. As the years passed, however, I began to use drugs recreationally. No big deal, I thought. I'm just having fun. But my recreational drug use grew more frequent, and eventually it evolved into a hardcore drug addiction. It didn't take long before my drug use had robbed me of everything good in life. My family, my career, my dignity, and eventually my freedom. My life as I once knew it was gone. The dreams I spoke of were shattered. I could no longer look at myself in the mirror, and when I did not recognize the face looking back at me. Sadly, like so many, I suffered alone from the disease of addiction. I remember times when I wanted so desperately to stop using. After all, I was raised to know the difference between right and wrong, so why wasn't I just strong enough to stop? Like many families with a loved one who struggles with drugs and alcohol, it was painful for my parents to stand by and watch their daughter destroy her life. But they were helpless, wondering what happened to the girl they once knew. As many, my drug-infused lifestyle had serious legal consequences. In August of 2020, I began a year-long jail sentence. While incarcerated, I wrote many letters, but one letter in particular put into motion a series of events to land me to where I'm standing today. It was written to my aunt and uncle. We hadn't spoken in years, but I prayed for their reply. The day eventually came when I did receive that reply, and the letter read, "When you get out of jail, if you still want help, we will help you find treatment." Unbeknownst to me at the time, my aunt and uncle were already making phone calls, and that's when they discovered an organization in Roanoke, Virginia called the Hope Initiative. The person that so many people thought was a throwaway drug addict had found a second chance at life because of the support of my family and the Hope Initiative mission. You see, my family, they didn't know what to do with me. I didn't know what to do with me. But the staff at the Hope Initiative knew exactly what to do with me. I built back the life I thought I would never get back. Those people who saved my life at the Hope Initiative, I am now one of them. I was hired a year ago as a peer recovery specialist to work with the Hope Initiative's Responders for Recovery program. Responders for Recovery places peer recovery specialists with fire and EMS to respond to overdose calls. I am forever grateful to the first responders who saved my life using Narcan. I never imagined that today, this girl right here would have the opportunity to work alongside Roanoke City and Salem Fire and EMS as part of the Hope Initiative's Responders for Recovery program. As I age and I reflect on my life, I realize the situations that shaped and defined me. When I was released from jail, I could have easily returned to my familiar life of using drugs, but the Hope Initiative offered a new plan. They showed me how to pick up the pieces and find a new beginning. I reclaimed my life, and I added a new chapter to my story. I am now studying to earn my master's degree in clinical mental health from Liberty University. An addiction that had once brought with it so much shame and guilt now gives me a purpose and a passion for helping other struggling addicts. But this story, it's not just about me. It's about everyone in recovery. It's about everyone that wakes up every day and beats the odds. And it's not easy out there, but in the end, it's worth it, and it's good. I'm just one girl from Danville, Virginia, whose life was forever changed by the incredible work of the Hope Initiative. There's so many more just like me. So if you or someone you know is struggling with addiction, I urge you to reach out for help. You don't have to fight this battle alone. The Hope Initiative staff, myself, and the other amazing peer recovery specialists that I work with are here to walk beside you every step of the way. So thank you, Governor and First Lady, for recognizing the work that we do here at the Hope Initiative, and thank you all for listening. So now I have the honor of introducing our First Lady, Suzanne Youngkin. Yes. All right.
Oh, goodness, why do I have to go after Cynthia? It's terribly unfair. Thank you so much, and Emily, and Keith, and Janine, and all of your teams. I mean, what you're doing here is so inspirational, and I hope you all can sense that we're here for purpose and for passion, and that just feels so very good. We're so tremendously honored to be with you. I just want to tell you why we're here today. We're here because of these great people and these great works. And one of the things that Glenn and I have noticed in this journey, this magical journey that we're on, is the remarkable, remarkable things that nonprofits are doing in the Commonwealth of Virginia. I think sometimes we really lose sight of the fact that in order for family units and community units to thrive, it takes inputs and care from a lot of different places. And so today what we're seeing is this convergence of law enforcement, of healthcare, of peer recovery specialists, of parents, of Christian leaders, of nonprofits who are involved in social work and youth, The Greater Valley Roanoke Collective is represented here, and so many other stakeholders who are doing so many wonderful things. And I'd be remiss if I didn't mention that government, both local, state, and federal, has a role to play in that as well. And so thank you to those of you that are involved in that sector. Very early on, when Glenn decided to run for governor, one of the things that he pledged was that if he was lucky enough to serve, that he would donate the entirety of his gubernatorial salary to charity. And so what a privilege it is for me to be able to partner with him on these decisions and these exciting opportunities to say thank you to so many deserving people. So today we're going to fulfill that promise in 2024, and we will be giving away a quarter of his gubernatorial salary to these wonderful nonprofits, Straight Street and the Hope Initiative, and we couldn't be prouder. And I think it's just another example of our personal, very personal commitment to the health and well-being of the Roanoke community. I need not share the statistics, but I will share a few. According to Virginia's chief medical examiner, Roanoke City continues to have one of the highest overdose percentages in the state, with more than 75% of those being attributed to fentanyl. Further, the most recent data from the Virginia Department of Health anticipates that more than 2,000 Virginians died of fentanyl in 2023, and expectations are that those numbers will be accurate when all the data is in. That was certainly the case in 2022. Lastly, we see dangerous increases in anxiety and depression. I know this community has felt it. According to Health Information Entity, KFF, in 2021, 20% of adolescents aged 12 to 17 and almost 8.5% of adults in the U.S. report having experienced a major depressive episode in the past year. So we're really tackling a lot of problems. So combined, the decline of mental health with this increase of drug and opioid dependency is creating a perfect storm. But we are running into the eye of that storm, and so many of you are involved in our initiative. We launched It Only Takes One here in Roanoke in January. We're partnered with the Virginia Department of Health, the Office of the Attorney General, the Virginia Foundation for Healthy Youth, the, like I said, the Roanoke Valley Collective, law enforcement, elected officials here, etc. And we're talking about the dangers of opioids and especially fentanyl. So we are just really trying to spread the word, and we remain very, very determined to experience change here in Roanoke. As a matter of fact, you may have noticed outside a table. Our Virginia Department of Health is set up, and they will be conducting Revive trainings immediately following this gathering. For those of you that are not familiar with Revive, Revive is training on how to administer naloxone. Naloxone is a nasal mist that can reverse fentanyl overdose. And it's critically important, in our humble opinion, that everyone be equipped to provide that life-saving service, regardless of where you are, whether you're in your home or you're in a big box store, you're traveling someplace on the highway, and you're in a welcome center in Virginia. We want to make sure that everyone is empowered so you can leave today ready to save a life and with naloxone in your hip pocket. So I want to thank the Virginia Department of Health for that. More importantly, I want to thank Straight Street and the Bradley Free Clinic for the partners that you are to It Only Takes One, our campaign, for the partners you are to every person living in this beautiful community. We're so grateful for you. You are a blessing. And without further ado, please help me welcome your 74th governor, my husband, Glenn Youngkin. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you. Real quick. Well, good afternoon, everyone. And thank you so much for coming and spending a little bit of time celebrating good works. And that's what this is all about. It's great to be back in Roanoke. I have to say, it's even better to be fostering health and well-being in the Roanoke Valley. I have to tell you how humbled I am. I have had the great opportunity to be here at Straight Street, before, and I had a really bad experience because there's a ping pong table out here. And I found myself on the losing end, and so I made sure that there are new paddles and that I get a rematch later this afternoon. So, Keith, what you have done here changes lives, and thank you. Janine, what you do every day changes lives. And I have to say that there's one common character trait, which is when someone says, Keith, can you fill in the blank? Janine, can you fill in the blank? It doesn't matter what goes in the blank, they just say yes. And we talk frequently about the power of one person. But I have to say, we have two people here that have so fundamentally impacted this fabulous community. I just want to stop and have us all stand up again and say thank you. Thank you. We're joined today by lots of folks, and I'm going to just recognize a few, and I apologize if I leave someone out. That's the great risk, but we have just a tremendous partnership working in local government. Mr. Mayor, thank you for being here. We have a tremendous partnership working across state government, and I want to say my partners from the General Assembly are here. And I just want to make sure I don't forget anybody. I see Senator Sudeline in the back. Thank you for being here. Senator Head, I saw you down here. Thank you for being here. Delegate McNamara, thank you for being here. Delegate Rasul, thank you for being here. Let's see, Delegate Davis, thank you for being here. Delegate Obenshane, thank you for being here. It takes everyone. And then on top of that, I have just a tremendous group who help us every day in our cabinet. Secretary John Littell, who's our Secretary of Health and Human Resources, Secretary Terry Cole, who is our Secretary of Public Safety and Homeland Security. Thank you both for everything that you do. And then I look around the room and I see heroes who are first responders and law enforcement and in EMS and in fire and rescue, folks from our health department, folks who volunteer from Carillion. It is just a community effort. And so thank you all, because when we all work together, we can truly move mountains. And then finally, I want to say thank you to my friend Matt Hall. Every time I'm in Roanoke, he reminds me that he, in fact, loves this community like no one I've ever seen. And so, Matt, thank you for all you do here. The First Lady and I have had a chance to work across the Commonwealth with so many people. And she summarizes it so beautifully. In a world where we spend time focusing on the bad, we forget to stop and celebrate the good. And one of the great honors that we have is the opportunity to celebrate the good. People who every day work for others. People who every day know where their help comes from. See, I start every morning lifting my eyes up to the hills, asking, where does my help come from? And then I'm able to answer it very clearly. My help comes from the Lord, maker of heaven and earth. And when I see him moving in this community in such an extraordinary way, I know that he is always there and he is always helping. Isaiah tells us that every valley shall be lifted up and every mountain and hill be made low, and every ground shall become level, and every rough places a plain. And the glory of the Lord shall be revealed. Now, please understand, I love the mountains in Roanoke, and I don't want to level them. We might move a few along the way. But these two organizations, Straight Street and Bradley Free Clinic, are moving mountains. I want to thank all the members of the staff as well. I'm always amazed by the smiles, the friendliness, and the welcoming attitude that we feel when we walk through doors. This is a community that together is moving mountains. When I think about Straight Street, I think about personal journeys that come together in a collective journey. I think we can all remember when you're in middle school or you're in high school, you view adulthood as sort of a light at the end of a tunnel and you're not sure you even want to go through it. It's a long way away. You crave freedom and you crave independence and you're so ready to have it. But along the way, oftentimes you feel a bit lost. And sometimes you may feel really lost. Sometimes you might make a mistake. You might make a bad choice. And oftentimes things happen that are completely out of your control. You don't have a role model. You may live in a broken home. You may not even have a home. And as a result, it's often easy to find yourself by yourself, to think that no one cares, and to become an island. But see, there is a solution. And the solution is coming together and recognizing the encouragement that a place, that a destination can provide. Yes, it's an amazing series of walls and hallways and rooms, but more than anything else, Straight Street is about people. It brings together people. Law enforcement, faith leaders, and community leaders, and a lot of kids. And it provides a place for that mind, that middle schooler or that high schooler to visit with peers, to see strong mentors, to be guided by values at the heart of a wonderful life, and to see a path forward to the light at the end of that tunnel. This journey of unlocking potential, of course, never ends. Sadly, drug overdoses, and most commonly from fentanyl and other synthetic opioids, represent a significant and ongoing threat to the health and futures of Virginians, young, old, sons, daughters, sisters, brothers, and it breaks all of our hearts. Sadly, today, on average, 5 Virginians will die of a fentanyl overdose. The First Lady shared some of these really, really heart-wrenching statistics with you. And we all know that in order to combat this, we have to come together. Addressing mental health and substance use disorder in the Commonwealth is one of the key issues that I know we are all focused on. It doesn't matter where we come from. We know we must do something about it because it affects everyone. And so when Secretary Littell and I sat down for the very first time, and we were talking to each other about working together in this administration, we said that we would work together to transform our behavioral health system. And he looked at me and said, "I've been waiting my whole career." And I said, "You're hired." And off we went to work. And I see the impact of everyone's contributions and passion and commitment across this Commonwealth like never before, where we can go to work to help Virginians who are not quite in crisis, but they need help now. They need a voice, who might be in crisis, and they need someone to come and care for them. And I know all of my law enforcement friends know that if we can keep them out of the criminal justice system, we have truly accomplished something. And finally, as they deal with that path post-crisis, there is so much investment needed. And that's where all of these partnerships come into play. And that's exactly where the Bradley Free Clinic and the Hope Initiative particularly play such a strong role. Substance use is an extraordinarily challenging thing. And I had a moment to meet so many of the folks who are providing peer recovery counseling or training to become peer recovery counselors. In fact, I met the most amazing woman who I think has trained everybody in the nation. This is what it's all about. It's about hope. And the Hope Initiative continues to provide it. And I have to say the 83% success rate is truly remarkable. It works. And that's why we are all here. Finally, I'm not going to make it optional. Revive training is going to go on out here. If you have not completed Revive training, I need you to do it. The First Lady and I did it very early on, along with our entire cabinet. She and the Attorney General and the Lieutenant Governor went to work with our entire General Assembly. She trained all of the first spouses at the National Governors Meeting. You do not have a choice. Otherwise, you got to deal with her. And so we'll have training going on out here, and I encourage everyone, please, because we may have an opportunity to save one life, and that makes everything worth it. So let me finish where I began. Here in the Roanoke Valley, yes, mountains are being moved. It works. When we raise our eyes to the hills and we say, where does my help come from? We know it comes from the Lord. And when people here do this work, and we do it with the passion and the commitment and the inspiration to fulfill the call on each and every one of our lives, this community will see true transformation. I see it even today. And so it was with those thoughts that Suzanne and I are so honored to have the opportunity to support these two great organizations. And so if I could ask you guys to stand up. Here we go. Perfect. Suzanne and I are honored to be able to present to Straight Street and, of course, to the Hope Initiative at the Bradley Free Clinic, $21,875 to each organization. God bless you. Awesome.
Okay, do we want to get everyone together with the checks?
Yes, we're going to
Christian?
now do that.
Okay, can you tell us where you want us?
We look great.
Okay, so look at you. Okay. Okay.
That was
Super.
easy.
Awesome.
Easy. Do you want to get your team up here?
God bless you. Thank you, everybody, for coming. Go get trained. And there's a few special groups I want to bring up for pictures. But otherwise, thank you all for coming. And we just absolutely wish you a blessed afternoon. And may God bless these two great organizations.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.